Alrighty, I think we might be live. Chat, let me know if we're good. I think we are. We're live. Alright, hello everybody. My name is PeteDorr, and tonight, on the night of 420, we're going to be playing some Rez. Rez, just a warning, and this is a serious warning, if you have any proneness to seizures, flashing lights, there's a lot of visual things going on in this game. So that's just a warning. The game actually gives one before you start it up as well. And what do you say we just jump right in? Before we begin though, this is an any percent run of Rez, which I'll get into once we start it up, but we're going to be playing through areas 1 through 4. So I'm good to go in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Alright, so Rez. Tonight we're playing the PS4 version, which is also known as Rez Infinite. However, it is pretty much exactly the same as the original release of Rez back in 2001, which launched the same day on the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 2. The benefits to playing this version as opposed to, say, the Dreamcast or the PlayStation 2 is that we have 16:9 display, which lets me complete certain sections of this game a little bit faster than I normally would be able to because of look distance, which you're going to see me abusing in certain levels in this game. So you can probably tell this is an on-rails shooter, and you're probably saying to yourself, well, how can you speedrun an on-rails shooter? I'm going to get into that. There's definitely a lot of tech going on in this game, things that I'm doing to speed up the levels. So despite being on rails, we can get through these levels faster than we normally would be able to if you were kind of just, casually going through it. And especially in the boss battles, it is very evident that there are certain strats to speed up your pacing through Rez. This is created by the mastermind Tetsuya Mizuguchi, who you may know as the creator or the visionary behind games such as Lumines on the PSP, and many other iterations since then. It was a launch game in the puzzle genre. Another game that uses a lot of audio-visual cues. And also, most recently, Tetris Effect, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. And you're probably going to see a lot of similarities in terms of visuals and music and styles. So here's an instance where I'm not going to be shooting any of these enemies here, and this is actually done as a manipulation for the boss of this level to guarantee that we don't kill too many enemies. Because the version of the boss that you actually get in this game is dependent on how many enemies you shoot down. So I'm sort of going to be forcing an easier version of the first stage boss by doing it this way. Do that a few times throughout the run. That way I get bosses that are ever so slightly faster than they normally would be. So some of the most important speed tech for this obviously is memorization. Memorizing where enemies spawn, memorizing where the box at the end of the level spawns, because in order to go from layer to layer in this, you have to shoot a box at the very end of the stage. And then this one right here, perfect timing. And then we lock onto it 8 times, and that advances us a layer. So it's important to know when that's going to spawn, what I can do to influence a faster spawn of said box, and then of course shooting it optimally. Something you're also probably noticing with this game, everything that I'm doing is influencing the music. So if you've never seen Rez before, this game is meant to sort of elicit synesthesia. So everything I'm doing is tied to the vibration in my controller, it's tied to the sound effects in the game, it's tied to the music. The music is ever evolving, and obviously the visuals are very much playing off of everything that I'm interacting with as well. Another thing to do with the visuals, every level is sort of themed around a different type of civilization. Area 1 here is themed around Egyptian motifs, and we'll see some from like China and whatnot. So you're going to notice different changes in the background artwork in Rez. The team that made this game also was comprised of a lot of people that worked on the Panzer Dragoon series, which would explain its similarities in terms of on-rails design. When they were conceptualizing this game, Mizuguchi didn't originally intend to make it an on-rails game. It just sort of came to be because most of his team members were already experts in the genre, so kind of just stuck with it. Alright, so now we're on to second to last layer here. As we go deeper and deeper, the music continues to evolve, and there's some great music in this game. Inspired by a lot of sort of, at the time, urban hip-hop and techno, trance. And despite the many iterations of Rez, you know, once again, starting on Dreamcast and PS2, and eventually getting an Xbox 360 port, which was the first version to receive 16:9, the music has always changed the same, and it's never needed any sort of updating or revisions or, like, remixed versions. The base version of Rez has always remained the same because it is classic and timeless. And I'm sure a lot of well, we'll actually get to the trance vibrator after this first boss here because there's a bit to talk about. So you can actually see what difficulty of the boss you're getting in this dialog box here. Certain texts will say Mega, Giga, or Terra. I see the Mega text, which means that I have forced the easiest version of this boss by avoiding shooting down certain enemies. Okay, so this is pretty button mash heavy. First phase here, I want to try my best to take out as much of the shield as I can. You might think it's a little better to kind of go for just the center green points, which is what damages the boss, the life bar on the top of the screen. But by taking out the shield, it prevents respawning. You can also try and take out these before they become an issue. The way lock-on works in this game, my reticle goes from 1 to 7 and then max. So 8 times is the maximum amount that I am able to lock on. So as soon as my cursor reaches max, you're going to see me, I'm holding my button down and then I'm releasing my button. So in optimal fight here, you'll only see the max prompt appear on my cursor for like a split second. Bosses in this game are pretty intense on the thumbs, but it's also down to precision. I am using a controller, obviously, because I'm playing on PS4, but the PC version does allow you to use a mouse, which makes this game infinitely easier. Okay, we're going to take care of these. Optionally, I could have taken out the spawners of those shots as well, but I kind of went for a more aggressive approach here. I'm going to take out a few of these shields on this to open up a few more spots to get my shots through. My life is also pretty important because my life is persistent, so if I get shot in this level, my life will carry over into the next. So it's kind of important that I don't take too much damage, and I will be going out of my way to take safety health pickups, which are the blue orbs that you see drop in the level sometimes. Yeah, there is a PC version of Rez Infinite, which is the only version. PC and PS4 support PSVR or VR versions. Rez is actually the first game I ever played in VR, and I threw my neck out. Amazing game to pick as my first VR experience. My neck and shoulders were not feeling it for like 5 days straight afterwards, because to aim with VR version, you have to whip your head around and look everywhere. Oh man, I mean, let me tell you, it was so immersive, and Rez is one of my favorite games of all time. This is probably one of my top 10 games, maybe like top 15, top 20, somewhere around there, but it's definitely up there. So being able to play one of my favorite games of all time as my first VR experience was something really special. But wow, was that painful. So just a warning to those of you that, you know, haven't warmed up to VR quite yet. Diving into this one's a bit painful. Anyway, I mentioned the trance vibrator. In Japan only, for the PS2 version, they actually released an add-on preferable for this game, which when most people think of Rez, it's one of the things that they immediately think about is the trance vibrator. It's this little corded vibration device where when Mizuguchi made this game, he said it's very important, not just the visual and audio cues, but also the feeling that you get from playing this game. So he felt that vibration in just your hands was not enough. So they came out with a device that would plug into the USB port on your PS2, and it would provide maximum vibration in an area of your choice. Now, I know what you're thinking. And yes, the creator of the game has acknowledged that people probably would and do use it for certain experiences. He himself, I'm sure, since he mentioned it in an interview. So use your imagination. To take it a step further, when they came out with the Xbox 360 HD version of this game, It's supported, I believe it was up to like 4 Xbox 360 controllers. So if you wanted to take it a step further, they let you connect additional 360 controllers that were not for the purpose of playing the game. No. They were pressure points to place around your body to add further vibration. I may or may not have done that, but at the time I only had like 1 extra controller. So it sort of acted as my trance vibrator. But the full 4 controller experience, I'm sure, is something special. Obviously, you'd place 1 on each shoulder, or maybe 2 on your feet, right? I mean, possibilities are endless. So there are different ways of dealing with enemies in this. It's more optimal for certain enemies to tap. So, like, instead of holding and locking on, a majority of the enemies are actually taken out easier by rapidly mashing the X button to do rapid shots. Usually that's for enemies that either have a pretty tight hitbox or enemies that die in fewer than 8 hits. Like these guys here, it's faster just to mash rather than lock on, I find. Because their hitbox is fairly small and they don't take 8 shots, so locking on for the full amount is not really required. Ooh, I undershot each one of them by 1. That's fine. I do have full overdrive. These are usually reserved for the bosses, which you're going to see me use my overdrive for the first time in this Area 2 boss. Overdrive, as you expect, is sort of a bomb ability that targets everything for me, doing rapid damage quite fast. These enemies here, I need to make sure that I'm taking them out quickly before they start spawning their extra weapons and shooting me. This is being played on normal difficulty as well. When I first learned about Rez having speedruns, I started running the any percent category because I was not the one that set up the leaderboards, so I was like, alright, let's try out any percent. And I ended up really liking it because Area 5 in this game is about 20 minutes long, and while it's an amazing level, it's hard enough to get Rez into marathons to spread the love of this game because, you know, it's a rail shooter, it's really quite obscure still. So extending my estimate by 20 to 25 minutes was not always the best of ideas. So I kind of just got addicted to N%, which is the first 4 levels. It's got a really nice pacing to it. Level 5 slows down quite a bit, but the first 4 levels are much, much shorter. And the end point of Area 4 is quite a good feeling too. I'm sure some of you have your favorite songs. I don't know, is there anybody in chat that has never seen Rez before? If there's one thing I enjoy when I stream or show Rez, it's being able to show it to people that have never experienced Rez before, because it's quite the game. And I'm sure you all have your favorite songs. Mine in particular is Area 4, Rock is Sponge is the name of the track. Never seen it before? Nice. It's quite a cheap game too. I mean, you can pick it up on a lot of different platforms. If you're looking for the cheapest, you're probably looking at the Xbox 360 version. I believe you could still buy it on the Xbox Live Arcade store for like, I don't know, $5 or $10 or something like that, $8. It's also in a physical compilation. It was a compilation that came with Every Extend Extra Extreme, Luminous, HD, and Rez. And I'm sure you can find physical copies of that really cheap. I believe the name of that compilation is Cubed. Get a lot of bang for your buck in there because you get 3 amazing games. Every Extend Extra, another underrated game from this studio. This is probably my least favorite boss. Pretty straightforward. Just gotta shoot out these points here to open up these walls. The loose story behind this game is that you're playing as a hacker that's infiltrating an AI, which is starting to sort of malfunction and question itself. So you're hacking into the system layer by layer to make your way to the corrupt AI, which kind of explains this sort of Tron-like feeling behind this game. And the name of Rez is... there's a lot of actually different reports of what Rez actually means and how they came upon that name, but one of them is influenced, or said to be influenced by the de-rezzing effect from Tron. In case you're curious what Rez actually means. And I believe that one itself came from Mizuguchi, so... Others are just plays on different words. Okay, so here's where we're going to use my first overdrive. So as he starts passing here, I'm going to overdrive, and as you see, it's just constantly locking on and doing a ton of damage. I wanted to do a little bit more damage than I actually did there, but that's okay. This is probably my least favorite part of any boss in this game. So I need to shoot out the yellow tips on these sort of like little fingers that grow out on these tentacle points. I don't know what you want to... I don't know what you want to call these things, but it shoots these yellow enemies at me, and I need to just make sure that I'm destroying the tips, which are the spawn points. Make sure I'm taking some of these out so that I'm not getting shot. I did get a slightly harder version of this boss than I would have liked, so that means that this part's going to be even trickier. It can be kind of hard to shoot some of that stuff out before they hit you. Let's do some lock-on instead here. So my health in the bottom left, well, that's not so much my health. My health is my player portrait. And I'm a little tiny bit lower than I'd like to be for safety reasons, because dying in this would cause me to reset a level. Which is why my estimate is about 5 minutes longer, just in case something bad like that were to happen. But hopefully it doesn't. In the bottom left there, the little blocks, as I collect the blue orbs in the game, that'll level up that meter. And once I get a full line of blocks down there, filled in with the yellow bricks, I mean the white bricks. Let me just focus here. Mashing intensive. Okay, we're good. Then my player will level up into a different form, and it pretty much acts as one hit point. Yeah, I love Every Extend Extra as well. I personally like the PSP version the best, Every Extend Extra. Every Extend Extra Extreme is also really good, but there's just something about the PSP version that's great. Yeah, if you're looking to learn interesting stuff, dog developer, Rez, I'm telling you, it's a really fun speed game because you can play this game having never played it before, get a nice little time in, and you will always improve your time on this as you start to memorize patterns a little bit better. It's a very satisfying speedrun because it rewards skill, it rewards accuracy, it rewards memorization, and it's got one heck of a soundtrack to go with it, so it's always sort of a pleasure to play. All right, so this boss is, this is quite a boss that's going to be coming up on this level. I'm going to need to try and save my 2 overdrives for it. It can get a little intensive, so I'm going to be going out of my way here. If I see any blue blocks, I am going to make sure that I go out of my way to get them. Sometimes I normally avoid them in a run if they're a little out of the way and it would sort of take my cursor in a direction that wouldn't be so optimal. But if I see a blue power-up, I'm going to go out of my way to get it, because this boss can potentially get in a hit or two. So that blue orb right there, some of them give you 1, some of them give you 1 or 3 white blocks. So that one gave me 3. Okay, like here, going out of my way to get that. Yeah, so immediately after Space Channel 5, actually, someone brought it up in chat, is when they started working on Rez, because he was originally influenced by going to outdoor music festivals and also like African tribal music, like watching people dance and clap and stomp along to the music. He was highly influenced by the interactivity behind like the feedback that the artist or the person performing the music was receiving from the crowd, which is what originally inspired him behind the idea behind Rez and Synesthesia. And Space Channel 5 was sort of his first venture, and now, you know, now that you know that it was inspired by song and dance, you can kind of see where he went with Space Channel 5. But then eventually it would evolve into Rez, and he had a really hard time pitching this to Sega on the Dreamcast until he showed them a tech demo of it. I would imagine this is quite a hard game to sort of explain without actually showing, but they were sold on it the second that they got their hands on it. Okay, so I'm actually going to bomb here. That way it takes care of the I sort of hesitated. I wasn't sure if I was going to do that. That's a new strat that the record holder for this game uses, and it's not something that I've been doing, so I kind of hesitated on the idea. If anything, it only saves a few seconds. Probably not worth it. Especially in a marathon setting, but hey, we're going with it. So these are some of the more annoying enemies in the game. You can only really destroy them fast by shooting their head. And they move around quite fast. The collection with this and every extra extreme is called Cubed. I believe it's called Cubed to the third power. But if you just search Cubed with a Q, because Q Entertainment, you will find it, and it should be quite cheap for a physical copy. Ah yes, we have reached the final form, so if you notice now, in the bottom left, there's no longer a life bar. We have reached, well, as high of a form as I can reach in area 1 through 4. You can reach another form in area 5, but unfortunately we won't be seeing that tonight. Like I mentioned earlier, if I were to do a 100% run of this, it would extend the game by 20 to 25 minutes, and I'm just so glad. I'm just so happy to be able. This is actually the first time I'm showing res in a marathon setting, because most marathons either they don't know res, they think it's a little too obscure, or they just don't want a rail shooter in a speedrunning marathon. So this is actually the first time I'm ever showing res in a marathon of any sort. So shoutouts to RETROTHON staff for allowing this in. Appreciate it. I mean, I understand, you know, it's a rail shooter. It's kind of hard to see and appreciate the things that would speed up the game until you've actually played it, but still, even as a visual spectacle, it's sort of a cool late night run as well. It's got a really cool style and soundtrack to it. Alright, so we got Giga Boss, which is the medium difficulty for this boss, which is good. It's a good thing it's not Terra, which would have been a mistake. Alright, so first form of this boss, we need to destroy this defensive wall. As these plates flip, they shoot out a laser. I need to destroy the little red points on these walls as they flip over to take out every single plate on here. And I'm going to use a bomb here, which will target a lot of plates that normally would have passed me by. Certain runners use different strats for this fight. I personally just prefer to use a bomb twice on this section. The world record holder from Japan, I believe he doesn't use any bombs on this section, maybe one. Yeah, so different runners have different timings for when they choose to use their bombs, and your overdrive bombs in this are very precious. Like, in the world record, they don't use a bomb here immediately. I use a bomb as soon as this phase starts, right as I spawn in, because I need to take out all these spawn points. And you're noticing that they're sort of spawning enemies that follow me, and the camera's bobbing in and out. It's really hard to keep my accuracy on the spawn points. I might actually get hit here. Should be fine. Oh, no, we avoided it. Did I get every spawn point? Come on. Nope, missed one up here. That should be everything. Nope, still missed one in the back. Somewhere. Where are you? There we go. A little bit of a delay on that. Yeah, that part there is probably one of the biggest time loss sections in the entire run. Because if you miss a spawn point or two and you're not sure where they are because the angle that they give you doesn't show you where it is, that can cause some trouble. Okay, so here we shoot out red points that eventually open up the core here, and then we can target the center point. Making sure that I take out these other red things spinning around here, otherwise I might get shot down. There's another strat that you can use on this, like using a bomb as soon as you start this section. For marathon safety, I'm going to be taking out way more of these red bullet things than I normally would in a run. In a run, I'd probably play this a little more risky, take a shot or two if I had to. Well, when I say a run, I mean a PB attempt. But overall, an okay third boss fight. Never saw any gameplay of this without the person flying around. Yeah, that's like your default form. You need to collect the blue power-ups in order to see it evolve to further forms. Alrighty, Area 4, my personal favorite level, my personal favorite song, my favorite theme behind the level. This area is actually themed around China. You're going to see sort of artwork in the background that is influenced by China. And also, obviously, every level sort of has two primary colors. The colors behind this level are yellow and orange. And the name of the song, in case you want to seek it out for your own listening pleasure, this is Rock is Sponge. Is the name of this track. And in case you're wondering, yes, my controller is absolutely going crazy right now. The rumble in Res is pretty crazy. It's a little harder than you would expect from most games with rumble. Alright, this is probably the hardest non-boss screen in the game. Let's see if I can do this without too much trouble. These things, if you don't kill them fast enough, they start spawning little add-on enemies, and holy moly, does it get annoying. See, they already spawned 2 extras. Yeah, I'm not the most warmed up on this screen right now, and that is definitely not the best way to go through it, but it can be worse than that. But ideally, you'd want to kill those sort of dropship, mothership type enemies before they even open up their hatches and deploy the extra little enemies. So it's little things like this, right? Like that make this game fun and viable as a speedrun, because it comes down to your precision, your ability to mash fast, and things like that where, you know, mashing a little too slow or not having your aiming reticle in the exact spot that it needs to be right when it needs to be there, it will lose you time. And it adds up. Yeah, we discussed the trance vibrator earlier. There was actually... Oh, here's something else in relation to the trance vibrator that's kind of funny. Not a lot of people know this. But in Japan, there was a store... I don't remember the name of the store. But there was a store in Japan where they released a very limited edition of Rez on the PS2. Came with a copy of the game, a t-shirt. It came with the trance vibrator, but it also came with eye drops, which may be one of the craziest things for a special edition of a game to come with. Only 500 were released of this said special edition. Ooh, I missed a guy over here. See, that's a mistake on my part. That wasted several seconds. And in case you're wondering, with the exception of just a handful of layers, the point in which the box will spawn to end the level is usually fixed. They cannot always be manipulated to spawn earlier. It's just a matter of, you know, knowing exactly when it spawns in and where to put my cursor so that I can shoot it down as fast as possible. Not every single layer can be manipulated to go faster. I think I'm also going to get the Terra version of this boss, which is the hardest difficulty. Which is okay. I find that the Terra version of this boss doesn't usually lose too much time. If anything, one time I actually got a gold split on the Terra difficulty. Okay, I got Giga, which is medium. Alrighty, enjoy the last boss of this run. A little hard to get the cursor positioned there correctly, so the only thing that I can damage on this boss is a little blue disc. Everything else is sort of just there to mess me up and throw off my aim. So that thing right there, that little UFO looking disc. Okay. Not a good first phase. I could have dealt a lot more damage to it. So all these purple blocks and everything, those are just there to throw off my aim. And I have one more overdrive left, which I'm saving for a specific portion of this boss. So I'm aiming in the center because the disc is right in the center here. I know it's very hard to see it. The turn speed in this game is also quite slow. That's one of the advantages of PC version. You can move your cursor around much faster, which lets you turn your view a lot faster than you can with a controller. However, Res to me is just meant to be played with a controller. It's how the game was originally designed. It was never originally designed to be played with a mouse. Okay, so we're gonna overdrive here, because obviously it's out of view and I definitely can't target it. So that's, in my opinion, the best part of this fight to use overdrive in. Really cool section here where he turns into a running man and you're going down tunnels. I mean, this is memorable stuff, right? Imagine seeing this on your Dreamcast or your PS2 back in 2001. Pretty awesome stuff. I wait for him to pull in front of me here. I could have turned around, but by the time I would have turned around, well, would have been too late. Okay, we got a little bit of life left on him here. Final phase, the most annoying phase by far. This is where he gets sort of armor plating, and my aim here can be really hampered by it. Turn around. And he should be going down any second. Nice, okay. And that is the end of that. Time is going to be when he explodes. .3053, not bad at all. That's actually exactly a minute off my PB. So that is the Res any % category run. Any % once again stopping at Area 4, because when you first play the game, that's those are the only levels that are unlocked. You need to get 100% analyzation in order to unlock Area 5, which would extend the run quite significantly. So I hope everybody enjoyed, and enjoy the rest of Retrothon. Got a good RPG run coming up next with Professor Palmer. It's a good guy, he's a good runner. Pillars of Dust. It's a cute little retro-style RPG. Really short. So I hope you guys enjoy that, and thank you for watching. That's going to do it for me.